DJ Event Planner will change the way you manage and run your business. Streamline all of your procedures and software into one easy-to-manage system. DJ Event Planner, the ultimate online planning tool.
Good evening and welcome to tonight's show from DJNTV, Disc Jockey News TV. Tonight's show is brought to you by Electra Voice, DJ Event Planner, DJ Trivia, Odyssey Innovative Designs and Cases, NLFX Professional, Promo Only, and the DJNTV Insiders. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for Wedding Chat with Dave and Jeremy with special guest Glenn Mackay.
Oh, Glenn, I didn't know Glenn was going to be on this. What the? See you later, guys. Have a great show.
See, now I was about to say, I'm sorry, Jeremy? Who's Jeremy? I haven't seen Jeremy on this in a while. Yeah. I've been here, but where have you been?
I don't know. I've just been gone. No, hey, it's exciting to be back, 2019, and we've been incognito for way too long. We ran into John at Mobile Beat, and Dave and I were talking. We're like, man, we got to get the show going. We had so many people that actually came up to us at Mobile Beat and was like, oh my gosh, guys, I miss your show, or I love your show, and all this stuff. And it's like, all right, we need to get the show back. And it's hard for us. We got schedules, and it's busy time and all this. But the harder part is actually not being able to have these times together. I mean, Dave and I, we have our contrasts, we have our compliments with each other, but it's, we just missed that interaction, and Mobile Beat was kind of a wake up, like, yeah, we're back on this call. We miss each other. We so miss each other.
Jeremy's right. There were a lot of people that came up to us at Mobile Beat last week and said, hey, where's your show? Jeremy, though, something tells me both you and I dropped the ball in the brief conversations we had with those people, because I don't know about you, but I didn't ask them how much John paid them to tell us that, to guilt us into coming back tonight. Did you?
I have a feeling there was some type of financial trade, but I didn't even think people actually watched the show. So that's the part that threw me off. But so that's positive. But more importantly, tonight we have Glenn all the way from Australia. They're so far away. It's like a whole different season down there. It's fall down there right now. That's the time warp we're in when it comes to Australia. It's a whole different climate.
Welcome, Glenn. Good day.
God. Yeah, glad to be here with you guys, hanging out. Always fun. So, yeah, hopefully I can contribute a bit today.
Yeah,
it's funny because every time Dave and I had the show, we always got this GM Solutions or GM DJs said this or said that. And now you know what that looks like. It's that gentleman right there, which it's funny because every time we're usually together at Mobile Beat or we're at a conference, people are always like, oh my gosh, you look like triplets. Well, luckily we all kind of changed our haircuts now, so we don't look similar. But I mean, 2, 3, 4 years ago, people, we were driving people nuts. It was hilarious.
Yeah, and apparently some people still can't figure it out. Hello, Randy Bartlett.
Yeah, Glenn and I were sitting by each other this last week, and Glenn from Dallas, Glenn Roush was like, you guys, this is so confusing. You cannot sit by each other anymore. And, I guess we never even think about it. It's kind of like when you're around those people so often, we don't notice it, but other people see, features that might be similar or things like that. But, enough about that. Let's talk Mobile Beat. I think there was a lot of great a lot of takeaways from Mobile Beat, but I think one of the most exciting things that we got to experience was a little early birthday celebration for Glenn, who was celebrating his birthday. Like I said, they're in a whole different time warp than we are, but we got to celebrate his birthday in taking a helicopter over the skyline of at night in Las Vegas, and that was extremely cool.
That was a blast. That was really good. For those who kind of are unaware, Glenn celebrates the big 4-0 this October 1st.
Even though he looks like he's 20.
Yeah, he does. He certainly does. But it's always whenever it's our birthday on this side of the pond, so to speak, this side of the Atlantic, or Pacific, pardon me. Yeah, Pacific.
Glenn, all the way around.
Yeah, if you go all the way around, yeah. But Glenn loves sending us that message saying, hey, happy birthday, because it's your birthday first here in Australia, because he's like, depending where you are in North America, he's 15-ish hours ahead of us. So it was really fun for us to beat him to the punch when it came to his birthday, because his birthday's not until October, but celebrated it last week. So happy birthday, my friend.
Yeah, he kind of surprised me by like 6-7 months. Kind of definitely caught me by surprise, and it was amazing for you guys to do that for me. So very, very grateful.
The funny story of all this was Glenn didn't know about this. So here's the breakdown. We actually went to what was the restaurant we were at,
and then we'll get to Mobile Beat, folks, and then we'll get to
no, this is still all Vegas stuff. We'll get there. Where do we?
Batista? Is it Batistas? Is that how you say that?
Yeah. So we're at this little Italian restaurant, and we get there. Our reservation's at 7:30, and Dave Hoyt lined all this up. Thank you, Dave. And they get us seated about 1:45, and then finally someone comes by around like 8:00, and they're like, "Okay, we'll take your orders now." And I said, "Great. You know what? I just need to make sure I got to be somewhere by 9:00." So that way, can we get our food on time and be out of here by 9? Oh yeah, that shouldn't be a problem at all. So it's, I don't know, 8:50. And I finally go up to the front. I'm like, I'm just checking. The gentleman said we would have our food and I'd be out of here by 9. It's 8:50. Haven't seen the food. Haven't seen our guy for quite some time. And all of a sudden, oh yeah. Well, it's on its way out. 9:01, our food comes out. And I'm like, Glenn, we got to eat quick. Glenn has no idea what's going on. He's like, what are we doing? I'm like, we're meeting up with Dave. We got to meet him at 9:00. And so we're just like scarfing our food. And the moral of that point of the story is customer service and following up on time and following through with your word is extremely important, because you have no idea whose schedule you are screwing up. So that's the moral of that part of the story. So anyways, we finish our food. Glenn finishes like 1/8 of his food, and he's like, okay, I'm ready. I'm like, well, you didn't even eat. He's like, that's okay, I'll be fine. So
I had 4 lunches, because my day is not a day. It's like 2 days long that day.
Yeah, that's true. So then after we left, everybody who was still at the restaurant ate all of the rest of Glenn's food. They cleaned it up. But we get to the Tropicana at 7:20, and we meet up with Dave. We meet up with Mitch Taylor, and we're all outside. We're just talking, and all of a sudden, this limo bus thing pulls up, and Glenn's like, "All right, guys, I'm out. Have a good night." So we're like, "No, you can't. You cannot leave." He's like, "No, I'm tired. I've got nothing left." And Mitch, he's like, "Oh no, it's just gonna be one quick strip club. We'll be good." So I think that's what's going through Glenn's mind is, "Oh my gosh, they're gonna take me out, right?"
Well, he had the card and everything with the free limo and free entry, and we're waiting for a limo apparently, and the limo pulled up.
So we get in the limo, and finally we convinced Glenn to get in the limo with us. Otherwise, it really would have been an awkward birthday. It was just us three and not the birthday boy. But we get there, And it's like this chain link fence and barbed wire fence. And Glenn's like, where the hell did you take me? So we get inside the building, and then the lady's like, okay, guys, I just need photo IDs. Glenn's like, I don't have mine.
Oh, right.
I had nothing. Didn't even have my phone on me.
So I think the lady, was it a lady or was it a guy? Well, anyways, they thought his voice was really sexy. So they gave him a free pass. They got him his tag. But we got to go in the helicopter, and it was one of the coolest experiences in Las Vegas, because you always see Vegas from maybe like landing in an airplane, and you see the city lights, but to actually float around it and see everything and just the skyline and be that close to the stratosphere was pretty surreal. And we kind of cracked the joke. Well, there was two things. We all had headsets and microphones, and there's this lovely couple up in the front seat, and we're just like, I finally just said, because we're talking the whole time, bantering, that type of thing. And we finally just said, you know what? I'm sorry. That's what it's like riding in a helicopter with 4 DJs, headphones, and microphones. Because they didn't get a word in the entire time. And then it was also pretty humorous how Mitch, the one where you never know what's going to come out of his mouth, his microphone would keep cutting out, and probably censoring the swear words and the stuff that the couple in front of us probably didn't need to hear. But it was a great experience. And the reason I bring that up is because it's the relationships that you build at shows like that create moments like that you'll never forget. 3 incredible guys that I got to be a part with, or I got to be with in a moment like that and share that moment. And, that's, to me, that's the biggest thing when it comes to trade shows, when it comes to conferences, is building those relationships and experiencing those things together, as friends and as colleagues.
Oh yeah, 100%. I agree. If you go to those shows and don't meet other people, you just sit in the seminars and then walk out and go back to your room and hide, you're missing out on probably the most valuable part of that gathering, in my opinion.
Oh, true.
Yeah.
So true.
So that was our Sunday. Our Monday. Yeah. So like I said, it was a lot of fun on Sunday, but this show, obviously, this is Wedding Chat, and we're going to talk a little bit about kind of some of our big takeaways and things like that. Starting things off was Mike Walter. And I was on a video chat this morning, and we were talking about Mike Walter and his presentation, Why People Dance. So any thoughts that you guys want to share on that before I kind of spill my thoughts?
What a great way to open the show.
Yeah.
Mike has an energy and a polish to his work that, if you don't know Mike too well, if you're watching this and you've never seen Mike Walter present, he's rehearsing his seminars, as he's running for weeks and months beforehand. So when he shows up on day of, it's like he's presented it 100 times, but that was the first time. So he's a great way to open the show. I loved, and I told Mike this, I loved the presentation so much. Not everybody can geek out about a topic like the psychology of why people dance and make it as relatable to every single person in that room like Mike did.
Yeah.
That's incredible. We were talking before we started about, the skill in presenting and how, the worst thing is when you combine boring material with, lackluster presenters. Yeah. That material may well have been really boring with a different presenter, but Mike just pulls it together in a really remarkable way. So I'd never looked at my audiences before in that, through that lens, I guess. You have 3 categories of people. You have sitters, you have dancers, sitters, and skeptics, and there's only one of those 3 you need to worry about, and that's the skeptics. And I'm like, that makes a lot of sense. So I thought that was a real gift. I loved it. Absolutely loved it.
Yeah, I think he took a topic of psychology, which you would instantly want to kind of switch off and check Facebook rather than listen to someone talk about psychology in most cases. And he took data from a survey, like data and psychology. We've got 2 very boring things. But what he did, which was fantastic, is obviously Mike always brings amazing energy and presentation skill. But he cut it down and he conveyed the information. He converted it to stuff that we could take away from it rather than just bombard us with facts. It's like, well, here's why this is important to you. And he made it really easy for, I think it was one of the best presentations, if not the best presentation of the week for me personally. And, you know, DJ performance is not something that I really focus on in my business. We have other people who do that. And I got a lot out of it. I loved it. And I think I have less notes on his talk than anyone else's because I was so enthralled with what was actually being said. And I have my notes are more about things to look into when I get a chance back here later on. But yeah, so many good things about that talk.
It's funny you say that because here's my notes. All right. Oh, shoot. It's too bright. Okay, here you go. Why people dance. Alan Berg. I didn't take a single note. I did not take a single note from Mike's presentation because like it was the one presentation, I soaked it all in. Like I really was like, I was the same way. It was like so engaging that I didn't want to like look away. I didn't want to be disconnected with what was going on because I was, okay, writing this down. I think as a presenter, like, because I present as well, as a presenter, I was very impressed with, you know, how smooth he was, how well put together the presentation was. If his slides did not work, I guarantee he still could have delivered that presentation.
Yeah.
Well done as a speaker standpoint. And I agree. I loved the fact that he broke apart the skeptics and sitters. And if you can win over those skeptics, you can win the night. You're not going to get the sitters to come out. And if you are, you're trying way too hard because they don't want to come out there. And now you're putting them in a very uncomfortable position. And I liked how he talked about, you know, music can change the mood. It can change people. And he showed that clip from Saturday Night Live. And it was a good way of showing that, you know, just adding some atmosphere with music and making them, you know, create the energy themselves. You don't always have to be so over the top and try and get every single person on the dance floor because you're never going to win that. So yeah, I agree. I think that was the best way to open the show. I think it was a smart move on Mobile Beat's part. And, you know, it's kind of like, again, think about this, you know, our job as an MC is to engage people right off the bat. If we don't do that, the rest of it's just going to be a sour taste in our mouth. And, you know, with him coming out there, knocking everybody's socks off, it was a strong way to keep people engaged in the rest of the conference, I thought. Agreed.
And you guys can take notes. Like I have a page and almost 2 pages of notes from that seminar.
Well, just send them to us and then we'll go over it.
I will say one of the things that I really love that I think is important for people to kind of bear witness to is out of those 3 groups of people, the dancers who will dance to any DJ. Like, don't think you're a great DJ if you got the dancers dancing. They'll dance to anything. They'll dance in the aisle at Walmart. Okay, don't pat yourself on the back so much. Sitters, don't worry about them. What I love about what Mike said about skeptics is, if you can get them going, nobody will be a better source of referrals for you. So in the wedding business, that, you know, we try to theme this show around all the time. That really spoke to me because weddings are my lifeblood. I mean, I do a small handful of other stuff, but it's negligible at best. So I'm glad he brought that up because it probably would have come to me at some point, but for him to really tie the fact that a skeptic will be your biggest champion because they're like, oh my God, like I actually danced at that party. Like that's a big deal. So they will go and tell the world about it. So I thought that was a good point as well. Cool.
Yeah. Referrals are so key to wedding business.
Yeah. Huge. So yeah, Mike was great.
Next was Alan Berg. And I've seen Alan so many times, but I always get something out of.
Nope. Next was not Alan Berg. I can't believe you just did that to Ben Stowe. You just steamrolled Ben Stowe.
Sorry. Ben Stowe.
I'll be honest. I had to leave though, so I wasn't able to get Ben Stowe's presentation in. So Alan was next for me. I just had to do that for you.
What are you dissing then? No, Ben is very. Yeah, I think what I got out of Ben's was, you know, the whole microphone apocalypse that's going to be happening. You know, it's going to happen eventually. It's just, when is it going to happen? And and this is kind of like you got that out of Ben's. Ben said, just contact a professional to tell you when that's going to happen. That's the same thing. Like, if you want a great DJ, contact a professional who's going to take care of you. But I think Ben has so much knowledge. And I mean, I sat in some of his seminars that he did on out in the breakout rooms. And I know it sounds nerdy, but I enjoy listening to his tech stuff. I enjoy listening to some of that because it's valuable to us.
Yeah, he's good.
We just overlook that part of it too.
Yeah, I caught part of it. We've just been through that whole microphone frequency channel debacle here in Australia a couple of years back now. And so I could definitely relate to what he was discussing. And it's interesting. I learned more in the probably 15 minutes that I saw of him, because I also ducked out for the start of it. I learned more in the 15 minutes I saw than I did going to a full day workshop on it here back when it was a thing about 5-6 years ago. Because he just has this amazing ability to take something that's complicated and simplify it or dumb it down really for what we actually need to know. So that was impressive to see that.
Cool.
Very good.
Now can we talk Allenberg?
Okay. I was just bugging you because look, like we don't have time to go over every seminar. We just have to pick some of our nuggets from the week.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say. I've seen Allenberg so many times. I always do get something out of Allen's, and I would say my biggest thing was asking for the sale every single time. I think sometimes I forget to do that, and I miss out on opportunities. So, did you guys go see Rob Frey Gamification?
I did.
I thought Rob was fantastic. He was a great way to open the show on Tuesday, I thought.
It surprised me what he did. I maybe expected more, how to create this type of thing as opposed to him just doing them.
That was the agreement with Mobile Beat, is they wanted him to basically just kind of wake up the crowd.
Got it. Yeah. So that said, so when I saw him do Name That Tune, again, I was like, Rob, you're better than this. But then I'm like, okay, no, he's not doing, pop, rock. He's really, really, really narrowing it down to specific things. And so I was really impressed by that. Rob's attention to detail is always really surprising. I mean, he doesn't just name that tune. There's visual component. There's all this type of thing. So I came out of it pleasantly surprised. I mean, he's an incredible performer. There's no doubt about that. I love that guy.
I think what I took most out of what he did and what he does, just his presence on stage, as a host. He makes you feel like you're at a game show, and that everybody in that show matters. So I thought that was fantastic on his part.
Agreed.
Jason Clock. Did you sit through Jason Clock?
Where's day 2? I did. Where are my notes on day 2?
Yeah, I got lots of takeaways from Jason Clock. The dude runs a very impressive business. He's got his stuff together. He knows what he's talking about when it comes to so many different things. So a lot of notes on that one for sure. And, one other thing that I like that he did at the end of it was he spoke about going and doing the one thing that you can do right now to have the most impact on your business. And I think that is the overall takeaway from the conference is, we always come back with pages of notes, but how often do we actually go, all right, what's the first thing? I'm going to do it today.
Yep. Do that one project. Do that one thing. I thought I had a page and a half of notes from him. And I thought good delivery. I loved his, let's see, what was it? So this is more for multi-op. When you grow, it's no longer about you. And I thought that was a really great point. Sometimes we overlook that, as the owner, this is my company, but really it's my company's company. And, just kind of putting that back into perspective, I thought was great.
Right.
I don't remember. Was it Andrea? Was she the next one?
Andrea Eppolito.
Yeah. I thought she was a great presenter as well.
Yep.
I liked her Lexus is not Kia. That was, I thought, kind of a yeah, that's true. You can't go into the Lexus dealership and expect to pay Kia prices.
To expand on that. Yeah, she spoke about, you don't feel the same way in a Lexus as you do in a Kia. Regardless if it's the exact same physical feeling in it, it's not how you feel about it. You should compare it the same way to a DJ. You don't feel the same way with a $500 DJ at your wedding as you do with a $2,000 DJ there. Yeah. I thought that was a really good comparison.
Well,
Yep.
I mean, like she said, people don't buy things, they buy feelings.
Yep.
And I know Jeremy wants to say he agrees with that school of thought, but he doesn't own a MacBook computer. So, I mean, he's just a poser.
Because I don't need to feel a computer, and computers don't make me feel.
Oh, that was a cheap shot. No, her presentation was really good. And yeah, DJs need to, people don't buy things, they buy feelings. It's in our world, especially. If you're going to buy bread, yeah, you're buying bread. You're not buying a feeling.
Yeah.
But in the special events world, if you say anything about your gear on your website, you've missed the point.
Yeah.
I actually think I think I'm going to argue that point with you, Dave, on the bread thing. I think people will go out and buy a fancy bread because they can, because of the feeling it does give them. One of the things, my first note on Andrea, is luxury isn't about money; it's about an experience. And that I just felt that really resonated with me, is that if I want the experience of having, a certain type of bread, and again, like there's bread for making the kids lunch, and there's bread that you might buy when there's guests coming over, right? So we deal in the private event space, which is always the space with guests coming over. You want to impress your friends and family, and you don't do that with, $1 a loaf of bread. You go and buy the fancy stuff.
I think we should have a bread conversation, because I agree with Glenn. I love the 12 grain, and I'm not going to waste 12 grain on my kids. They're 99-cent bread that's like, it's like this big compared to my 12 grain that's like this beautiful this beautiful masterpiece of like seeds and all this kind of stuff. So I'm all with Glenn on that one. I prefer a really nice bread.
And it's actually an interesting analogy, because you think of how the two different styles of bread sell each other, how they sell themselves. One sells on price, and one will tell you about the origins of the ingredients and the benefits of the blah, blah, blah. It's not that.
It's a beautiful thing.
You know what? I'm going to change me and say I agree with these gentlemen. And this makes me think of I think it's about $1 million or so
of bread.
That's more than 12 grand.
A number of years ago, I stared at a loaf of bread that was probably worth over $1 million. And you're absolutely right. Bread isn't just bread. And I sat and stared at this bread for a long time. It was bizarre. I was in a gallery in Spain, in the gallery that Salvador Dali built to house his work before he died. And one of his most famous paintings is called Basket of Bread. If you Google Basket of Bread, Salvador Dali, out of all the paintings in this entire place, I have no idea why, but I stood in front of that damn bread for way longer than I should have. So I'm going to fully concede, and not even just concede, I'm going to grovel at your feet, Glenn. You're absolutely right, because bread isn't just bread.
And just like this topic, we've been on it way too long. So, on to the next one. The next one was how to create rock star weddings, or I can't remember exactly what the title was. But I got some good things out of that. He talked about some alternative ways of doing slideshows. Some different games. A lot of people are always asking, well, what games do you have? I thought he had some good options for like kids games and kids activities, and having the kids dance before dinner even starts, burn off some of that energy, and so that way you don't have kids just running around the place. It's not going to hurt you to play 15 minutes of kid music while the parents are enjoying cocktails and those type of things. So I thought he had some good takeaways as well.
Yeah, very true.
So we've got like 15 minutes. I want to make sure that we can get through. Brian Dodge, obviously I want to talk about that, because wow, he was so good.
Not bad. I mean, whatever.
I have 5 powerful steps to killing it. I don't remember who did that one.
5 powerful steps to killing it.
Yeah. I have.
Is that 5 reasons your website sucks?
No.
That was Phil Morris from Digital DJ Tips.
Yeah, that wasn't it. Anyways, my notes, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5, I guess. Ask and listen. Enjoy the client. You have to love the process as much as you love the results. Forget things that don't matter, value yourself, and find someone to push you.
There was an undertone with a few of the presenters about having an accountability partner.
Yeah.
Someone to push you.
Mitch Taylor talked about that, and I actually texted him during his presentation, and I said, okay, Glenn, I talked to you about this, didn't I? I said, all right, Wednesdays, 10 a.m. I will see you every Wednesday, and we're going to start working through this process. And when he got done with his presentation, like 10 minutes, 15 minutes later, he's like, done, I'll see you then. So we've got a date tomorrow morning.
Nice.
Yeah, I think accountability is extremely important to keep anybody on track and on task. That's why, again, I like these when we can get together. And the accountability aspects is just allowing to connect again.
Yeah.
Even if it's just BS, but yeah.
True.
So I had Howard. Go ahead.
You're on day 4 right now, right?
I have no idea. I'm on Howard Wallach.
Carry on. That's day 3, I think.
Okay. Yeah. So Howard Wallach, I thought he was. No, I think he was Thursday morning. No, Wednesday morning. Yeah. Anyways, I don't know.
We'll call that day 3. Howard's a great guy. I thought his presentation was good. He was a touch less energetic than I expected him to be, which Howard's a great friend. So I'm going to chat with him about this. So, nobody has to go say,
we'll later.
No, Howard's a great guy. We had a great hike Tuesday afternoon. In fact, he and I have promised to do some follow-up after the show. But, all the stuff, it's just common sense stuff, but stuff that we just don't, so easy to just slip up on.
Dave and I saw Howard last year at Midwest DJs Live, which if you don't have tickets for that show, go check it out. It's a phenomenal show. A little plug for them. MidwestDJsLive.com. I don't know if that's their website, but hopefully it'll get you somewhere. But I thought the cool thing with that was, I agree. He had great content. I don't think he had as much energy as he did when he did it at Midwest, because I think it was so dark in there. You couldn't see everybody the way, Midwest, but I thought he still did a great job.
Yeah.
So, and then I have Mitch next. I'm going to let you guys go ahead and take that away a little bit. So go ahead.
I don't have a whole lot of notes on Mitch. I've seen Mitch speak so many times. I do want to say just quickly about Howard. There were a few things that he said that were like, Dave, this desk, folks, that's on either side of this big computer screen that you see me that I'm looking at right now, it needs a bit of work. And if Howard were here right now, he'd probably slap me.
Yeah, he had some great things. His was all about, being proactive in your habits and how to form new habits. I thought that was a really cool thing. I loved his energy. I thought he was fantastic. I'd not seen him present before. Never actually met him before. I knew his name through various things, but never actually seen him present. I loved his energy, but thought there was maybe a little bit of, he may have been a little bit underprepared. He was often reading from the comfort screen rather than, he's the sort of guy who I feel he knew that stuff. He could have riffed off, a few notes rather than having to read things. But and I can certainly understand that pressure of wanting to make sure you get it right in front of a large group like that. But I loved it. I got a lot of stuff out of him. As for Mitch, again, I've seen Mitch present a lot, and I always enjoy his presentations. I think he's great at delivery, and a lot of reinforcements on a few things that we already do here. So that was really cool to just sort of, I guess, reinforcement is so important because, like you say, you might have heard it, but when you implement it, might not be for a while. So it's good to keep on top of it and keep being reminded of things because we all forget and we get overwhelmed with so much information.
Very true. I want to say my final note on Howard was my goodness, if he actually does this day to day, which knowing Howard he probably does, I'm blown away and I need to step up. And that is, he said, every time you log into social media, shoot a message to a friend you haven't talked to in a long time.
Yeah.
Make that just part of routine. Okay, I'm going to open Facebook, but when I do, I'm going to shoot a message to somebody who I haven't talked to in a while. Fantastic. Hey, Jeremy, how are you?
Here's the funny part about that. I actually sent a message as soon as he said that. I sent a message to to one of my employees, let them know that you appreciate them. I send him a message. He sends me a text back. He's like, did someone on the Mobile Beat stage just tell you to send a message? that I'm the inspiration or something. It was like,
it's funny you say that, because shout out to Stéphane Jez in Montreal, because when that moment happened in the presentation, Stéphane, I love you, brother. He sent me a message, and I was 2 rows behind him.
Here's a couple things that I loved about Mitch. And I have seen Mitch so many times, but again, there's so much I take away from him. He's just, as a presenter, he's such an inspiration. He's so polished. He's so well done. And he always has a great insight on so many topics. I love if you don't adjust your perspective, you will have too narrow of a path to succeed. If you don't broaden your horizons, and then he had us write down 3 things. What is your not, it wasn't your passion. What are important to you in your mission, in all these different things. And, I put family moments, and then, the word cancer is really dear to my heart because my sister has gone through that and is still going through that. And then he said, now check with your prospective client and see if you align with them. So I was thinking corporate, how many corporate clients do I have that are family important, that are, focused in cancer. And I have a lot of corporate events that focus on cancer research, and and all of a sudden it's like, wow, I didn't even think about how much involvement I have in these things that are making a difference in something that matters to me. So keep those things in mind when you're working with a prospective client. What are important to them outside of what their wedding is all about in their personal life? What is important to them? And is that similar to what your beliefs are and what your thoughts are? Because if family is important to them and it's important to us, then you're really going to be able to connect really well with that sales perspective or prospect. Sorry. I have differentiate, appreciate, and create. And I love how he delivered everything. There was a lot of notes that I got from him as well. And then his create your legacy. And another thing I took away from a lot of the presenters is life is too short. Mitch really nailed that home. And oh my gosh, to see a good friend like that get emotional on stage, and knowing Crash and what he went through, it was a very heartfelt moment. And he did a great job of telling people that you don't know when it's your time. And so cherish every day. And if family's important, cherish it with them. And, don't always count on tomorrow because you don't know what that looks like. So I thought he did a great job of, again, kind of telling people sometimes you just need to slow down and look around. But yeah, I thought Mitch did a phenomenal job.
Next up
was the website, what you should be doing on your website. Yep.
Yeah. A guy like me can use a lot of help with that. So I appreciate that seminar.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I thought he did a great job as well. I think he gave some really good key points.
It was straight shooter. It was to the point. There was nothing, warm, cozy about it. Phil's a pretty straight to the point type of guy.
Yeah.
Very actionable things. He simplified it really, really well.
Yeah.
He focused on not getting caught up in the technical too much, and he focused on what was important and what you can do. And then if you can't do a certain thing, like, I don't know, some funky tech thing, then outsource that, get someone to do it. And he even guided, get your person who looks after who set up your email, they can set up your website. And I just thought he gave some really good tips. And I missed a chunk at the start of his. We got a lot of notes from the end. It was really good from 101 level, but you could also take it and go, wow, is my website too overcomplicated?
Right.
And that was one of my takeaways from that, is just to simplify.
Yeah. Well, one of the things he did say at the very beginning was, look, there's no reason why today you should not be able to build and manage your own website. That way you have the excuse of, I have to, my content creator, my et cetera, I have to send it. No. There's no excuse for that.
Yeah, and I always found that as BS. You know, there you can search your images on your website, and you can find everybody else who's using your website images. And so I've done that in the past, and I've reached out to people. Oh, well, I'll contact my web builder. I'm like, oh crap! Look at your website. You did not hire a professional website builder to do this. You know, I always find that funny. And again, it was a great point that there are so many tools out there. Sorry, I mean like website tools. There's so many website tools to build your own website nowadays that you really don't have an excuse on, you know, why you can't keep your content up to date and fresh. And Nate Nelson actually had a really great point when he said your website is like milk. If it's out of date, it's not going to sell.
Yeah, my single favorite quote from the entire thing. I loved that.
Me too. Except maybe
it's like milk. If it's not fresh, it won't sell. I thought it was fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah. So I want to touch on Brian Dodge. I know we got like 4 minutes here, but I do want to touch on Brian Dodge. I literally had so many notes. But the hard thing with Brian Dodge is he was all over the place. I think Glenn and I were sitting by each other and we're like, oh my gosh, wait, where's he going now? Oh my God, what did I miss? You know, and here's a perfect point. He's like, all right, write down 3 things. And here's number 1. And then all of a sudden I write down number 1. I'm ready for number 2 and I'm ready for number 3. Next thing you know, we went a whole different direction. I'm like, we got 2 or 3. And then it's all right, here, write down A, B, and C. And then I'm like, okay, do I really need to write down A, B, and C, or do I just start A? You know, so I think he gets so excited and something comes to mind and it's like, okay, yeah, I want to go that way now. And he talked about the whole squirrel thing. He is like so pew, pew, pew. But it doesn't matter how many different directions he takes you, you always have something to pull away from what he's talking about. Yeah. And like I said, I really love Brian Dodge, probably the most this year than I've ever seen him in the past.
Yeah, he was great.
Yeah, I just like Jeremy, I have so many notes. I have more notes on Brian, and granted, he was one of the longer presentations, but I have more notes on that. You know, I have 2 favorite quotes from the conference. The one from Nate earlier was fantastic, and the other one that I have, and I want to get this right and not just mess it up, is if you can't change the people, then you must change the people. I thought that was fantastic, and I feel that may have easily gone over the heads of a lot of people if they didn't just take a moment and just kind of. And he even repeated it. It was so important. Yeah. And I was like, yeah, and you can like flip it around and stuff, and I'm like, oh.
Glenn had the same reaction, like the same time. It took us about 8 seconds. We're like, don't change the people, change the people. Look at each other like, I get it, you know. Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe we are twins. I don't know.
Well, yeah, I just loved how he doesn't let anybody sit there in their own bullshit. I mean, you know, like when he said the line, "Are you better than you are right now?" And I mean, you could just feel everybody going, "Well, yeah, of course." But then he follows it up right away with, "Then get in the arena and prove it." Right? Don't just like own up to it or stop fooling yourself. You know? Yeah, he was just so great. I will say this. Even if you didn't write down a single note from his presentation was a master class in stage performance. Yeah. I mean, again, for those who weren't there, you don't know this until now. Brian Dodge, he took only a couple of pauses, but for 90 minutes straight, he went on, had every single person eating out of the palm of his hand, and he didn't have a single note to reference, nor did he have a single slide. Yep. What? Yeah. Really remarkable. Really remarkable. Yeah. And that was the second time.
He was engaging the entire time. Like you never took your eyes off of the stage. Yeah. Because he's fun to watch, and you know he did a fantastic job.
Yeah. The reason you couldn't take a break from it, he was dropping bombs like just quote after quote after quote. Like there was no chance to digest it. You just had to absorb as much as you could while it was being thrown at you. If you ducked outside to grab a drink or to go to the bathroom during that, you missed. Yeah. You missed it, and you missed a lot.
Yeah, very true.
His 48-21-1-3 formula. 48 hours to get it done, 21 days to change a habit, 66 days to imprint it, and then 1 it takes one. One gives you one good, or gives you a good year. I don't know.
Yeah,
that's it.
1 year. Yeah, 1 year.
Yeah, and then 3 years, everything improves. People, family, business, everything improves.
Yeah.
You know, so like I agree. I think he was probably one of my favorites. And you know, the one person that we didn't talk about, which I think deserves a great mention, is Mark Farrell. I was glad. I was happy to see how Mark finished off his presentation, and it really all came to light. Like there's a purpose. There's a purpose to everything. And you know, how much you're away from your family and how much you're away from the important things in life because you're so busy working. You know, don't do it for $500. You know, so it was a whole different message to getting what you're worth this year, which I thought was fantastic. You know, because everyone's heard you're more than broccoli, that type of thing. But his whole, you know, yes, you can make a living off of this, but imagine making a living and still having time for family and having time for the people that you're doing this for. Don't lose focus on why you're doing this in the first place. So I give a huge standing ovation to Mark and how he completed what he did in his 2020 this year.
Yeah, he moved a lot of my Canadian colleagues that were there. You know, a few of them have had their lives altered, you know, in the, you know, how many hours are we since that presentation, but they've already gone and, you know, said no to something they were doing before so that they could they can now fully focus on something else. Yep. He had the impact that I think he was hoping to have on a number of people. I thought the latter half of his presentation was certainly the strongest. I think the first half could have been cut down a little bit. Mark's a great friend, so I'm sure I'll have this conversation with him. But he went into some new areas that I'd never seen him do on stage before, which I really, really appreciated it. You know, he talked a little bit about what he taught, which I hope was really valuable because I think, you know, a lot of the times to some people it's just too vague. What does he teach? Yeah. I like that he actually paused for a few moments and went into some of that. And really his message of, you know, talent is what sells, and his message of worth was really an underlying theme, I thought, the whole week. I mean, Alan touched on it day one, and it went all the way through to Brian Dodge at the very end. I thought it was more of an undercurrent than it's ever been at the show before.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think, you know, the whole story, like you were saying, the first half needed to be condensed. His story about being a 9-year-old boy, I think, was the meat of the beginning, because the way he finished it off, saying, you know, you could be, not you, but there's another 9-year-old boy out there that wants to be inspired and wants to be what we are. And like I said, I think that was kind of the message of what I think the first half of that whole presentation was. But yeah, so I mean, overall, I don't want to talk about the production value of the show. We'll just focus on the content. But you know what? We'll see what changes happen.
Yeah. It was a great week for me. You know, up until 2.5 months ago, I was hesitating on whether I was going to go or not. Absolutely thrilled that I went. So yeah, worth everything for me. Worth the time away from family. Worth the money spent.
Yeah, you know, one last thing I wanted to quickly touch on as well. I don't know whether we did earlier, but Mike Walter's MC Institute stuff, that was so well attended. I'm so glad it was, because he was dropping nuggets like crazy in there. The feedback that people were getting. I only sat in for a few minutes one morning, but yeah, amazing. That alone is worth the cost of admission, really, to get on the show. Hopefully those guys and girls who sat in on that and got critiqued loved it, because it was very valuable.
Glenn, are you barking?
My dog is barking. So.
By the way, can I make a quick little announcement? John's not cutting us off just yet.
I got to tuck my kids in soon, so go.
You got to tuck your kids in. I just want to say, if anybody happens to be down and around the Tennessee area in June, I just finalized today with Robbie Britton that I'm going to go to RMDJs and share some thoughts on stage about what really goes into planning and how some of the great ideas that seem to just by coincidence happen at some of the events, the weddings I'm a part of, what the backstory to all of those is, and how that process goes, and how does that create that type of stuff. So thrilled to be coming down to Arm DJs this year. Thanks, Robbie.
Nice. Good for you. Good for you.
You heard it here first. I don't think he's announced it anywhere else yet. So, but
well, as you can see from our whole conversation here, there is so much value in going to a conference. And if you get a chance to go in June, we highly recommend it. Go to any of those shows that are out there. Arms DJs coming up in like a month and a half, something like that.
That's Midwest DJs.
Or I'm sorry, Midwest DJs. Yeah, Midwest DJs Live out in Milwaukee. Hit up those shows because that seriously is going to change your life, and it's going to create relationships like what you see right here. So thanks for watching, everybody. I'm Jeremy Brech, DJ Jer.
Dave Ternier.
I'm Jeremy Brech, DJ Jer.
Have a good night, everybody. Cheers.